Hey everybody, welcome to Hidden Horror. How are you guys doing today? So today I'm here to bring you a case update of what's going on in the Alexis Trevizo trial. As you can recall, her trial was pretty much placed on hold. The prosecutor's office decided to appeal a decision by the judge regarding suppressing certain uh, words, certain information that Alexee Trevizo said in the hospital after her uh, unalive baby was found in the trash can. Everything that she uttered after that, when she was questioned, when she was asked in her hospital bed, um, the judge has decided not to allow any of those videos as testimony in the case against her. So let's pull up a picture of Miss Trevizo. She was a teen at the time, a senior in high school. She purports that she did not know that she was pregnant, carrying a child. Um, she does admit that she continued life as usual. She was a cheerleader. She continued to cheer. She continued to go about her day. And between herself and her boyfriend, um, she denied in the hospital that she had ever been sexually active to her mother. So her mother was not aware. And when the baby was discovered in the hospital, Alexei Trevizo, she pretty much said, she didn't know she was pregnant. She didn't know what to do. She felt that the baby was not alive when she gave birth in the hospital bathroom. Instead of asking for help, she took the fetus and placed the baby, the body of the baby, into a trash bag and then into a second trash bag. She tried to clean up as much as possible the blood that was in the bathroom from the birth. And she returned back to her hospital bed with housekeeping later finding the baby shortly after she exited the bathroom. When the hospital staff found the baby, they did try life saving measures for the baby, but they were not able to bring the baby back. So Alexei Trevizo was charged for the death of her baby. And what the issue is at hand is everything that she said after returning from the hospital bathroom to her uh, hospital bed, the things that she said to and in front of her mother, the doctor and nurse, as well as law enforcement. They want to suppress the information that she said, um, under the guise that this is, you have a right to privacy for your medical um, information, pretty much. Um, I don't agree with it. I mean, it's really a scary time when you could actually cause the death of your unborn child, your child, from being in the womb to pushing the baby out and concealing it. Although you had resources, you were in a hospital, you could have pushed a button, you could have pulled a cord to get help. Even if the baby was not alive, it would not have been criminal, but the actions to conceal the birth, to hide the body, and they are saying medically that the baby was alive at birth. They have ways to test the baby, if the baby had oxygen, things of that matter. And it has been determined by the medical examiner that the baby was born alive, not deceased. Um, it's an unfortunate case. It's a sad case. It's something that is preventable, should not have happened. And the sad part is, this is something that happens all over because people are afraid um, to take a child home when maybe they don't feel prepared, or there may be upset in the home from family, or this is a pregnancy that's unwanted, or um, they're underage. All of these factors play into the mindset, and it clearly appeared that Alexee Trevizo was very concerned about her mother's response, that maybe her mother would be upset or disappointed or embarrassed. I don't know, because I don't know these people personally, but there are ways to handle situations like this. There's adoption, there's dropping a child off in a safe place like a hospital, a fire department, with no questions, no questions asked. If that child is not um, wanted, or you're able to take care of the child, there's places that will definitely safely take possession of the child. So that's what this case is about. There hasn't been a decision by the New Mexico Supreme Court yet, but they have held oral arguments in September of 2025. So that's what this video is about. We're going to talk about that now. So let's get started. So I'm going to go over the article. Let me pull it up. The article is on KOAT.com. It's titled Alexee Trevizo Case Oral Arguments on Baby Found Dead in Hospital Trash. The article was updated September 6, 2025, and it was written by Faith Egbonu. On Thursday, September 4th, 2025, the New Mexico Supreme Court held oral arguments to determine if suppressed evidence of discussions made between Alexee Trevizo, her mother, and medical staff could be used in Trevizo's trial. As of Thursday, no decision has been made. The Supreme Court has taken the oral arguments under advisement and deemed them submitted to be decided at a later date. So they don't have any time frame to make a decision about the oral arguments that were submitted in the case. Um, we'll do a little background just to remind you of the happening, because this case is 3 years old. It has kind of gone through the system slowly. And also, Alexee Trevizo, she was allowed to go home. She is not imprisoned at this time. And I believe when everything was happening, after she attended the prom and graduated, she is in college. Okay. So she's able to continue on with her life, which appears to be extremely unfair when we have cases where there is not even a death and that person is incarcerated. It's really unfair. But let's continue on. On January 27, 2023, Trevizo, then 19, was arrested and charged with first-degree murder after investigators allege she tossed her newborn into a trash can after giving birth inside a bathroom at the Artesia General Hospital in New Mexico. So, they're kind of like summing it up, but there are a lot of issues in this case. One of the concerns is she did deny that she was pregnant when she went to the hospital. She also said that she had not been sexually active. Another issue is by the hospital staff believing her words, her assertions that no, I'm not pregnant. No, um, I'm not even sexually active. They gave her medication for something that she came into the hospital for. She didn't go into the hospital to go into labor. She went because she was in pain, because she was actually having active labor, but she thought that she was having issues with her back, which was something that was common for her as a athlete, as a cheerleader. She had issues, and she would have to go sometimes to be seen by a doctor about what was going on with her back issues. So there's an issue of the medication, what would be the effects of the medication on a fetus, with them not knowing that she was pregnant, and also the timing of the results. They did give her a pregnancy test, and there is an issue of, how quickly did the test results come back? How quickly did the doctor inform her of those results? There really shouldn't have been any change in the results because she denied even being sexually active, on top of she was not pregnant. Um, I do not recall at this time, because it's been a couple of years, if she had mentioned having any periods monthly. She should not have cycles due to the pregnancy, but I do not recall. So that was something else, something to think about at the same time of the other circumstances um, of going into the hospital under the guise that it was back pain. And if you look at pictures of Alexei, um, one would feel and think from seeing her body, her physical shape, that she was pregnant. All of the weight that she had was centralized in her stomach area. So she did appear physically to be pregnant at that time. Okay. So let's continue on. Physicians and medical personnel take on the role of caregiver. Police take on the role of investigator. If we accept the state's position in this case, that line completely disappears, and it's to the detriment to the patients of New Mexico at their most vulnerable moment, Trevizo's attorney, Amber Feyerberg, argued during Thursday's oral arguments. The police naturally are going to want to talk to the doctor, to the nurse, and get a little bit of information before they walked in there. I think the police acted very reasonably. They talked to the doctor, they talked to the nurse. Michael Thomas with the New Mexico Department of Justice argued during Thursday's oral arguments. I think the police is smart enough to realize that just because this charge nurse is telling them this, that, and the other, that's just for the police officer's information, Thomas added. What I would like to acknowledge, I do believe the medical staff here, they were, um, I'm trying to think of a word that could describe what their experience was. I know the charge nurse was very disappointed. He felt like he would have attempted life-saving measures on the fetus, the baby, and that he didn't get an opportunity to do that because he didn't know that she was pregnant, and he didn't know that she had given birth in the bathroom. I believe the doctor in her role was very focused on the care, the aftercare of Alexee Trevizo once she gave birth, the fact that she would have been bleeding and that she needed medical attention. Um, she didn't want to talk about um, or receive any statements from Alexee regarding the birth. She wanted to get her some medical care after birth, and that was her concern. I know there were interviews by the police, and various staff expressed really shock at the bathroom, the blood everywhere, finding the baby in the trash can was horrific for some of them. Um, Overall, I think this was a very delicate situation with Alexei being underage, her traumatically giving the birth and not having any emotion. coming back from the bathroom with no emotion, as if it did not happen. So there was a lot of concern about her mental health, the disconnect. I believe she referred to the baby. Now, this is about 3 years ago, but I believe she referred to her son as it, like, she had it. It was as if she was detached from what happened, from the birth, from placing him in the bag, to concealing his body, to returning back to the the hospital bed as if nothing had happened. There was some extreme detachment, separation, lack of emotion, lack of feeling. Um, I believe that she was fearful, but it still does not negate the legal obligation. It doesn't. If she had had the baby in the bathroom and actually tried to contact medical, ask for help, at least inform them, this would not have gone down a criminal path. However, that is not what happened. And it's unfortunate. And I still feel that she has to be held responsible for what happened. I truly feel that she is responsible for what happened to her son. Let's continue on. Excuse me. In 2023, Trevizo visited the emergency room for back pain. Doctors determined she was pregnant and in labor. According to court documents, she locked herself inside a bathroom where she gave birth to a baby boy. Shortly after, medical staff found the newborn's body concealed in a trash bag inside a trash can. And see, this is where facts really matter. Alexee Trevizo placed her newborn infant into a trash bag, placed his body into the trash can, and then placed another trash bag over his body to conceal the baby so that no one would find him. Very, very disturbing, right? Okay, let's continue. In 2024, the district court ruled in favor of the defense to exclude all statements Trevizo made to her medical providers due to doctor patient privilege. Trevizo's attorney, Gary C. Mitchell, argued police officers should not have been inside the hospital room, particularly with body cams, because Trevizo was seeking medical care. And see, this is where it really comes down to common sense to me. The police were not there because Alexee Trevizo was in the hospital seeking medical care. They were not called for that reason. They were called, and the public has demanded that they wear these body cams so we can see what is happening, right? We want that accountability. And they didn't overreach and they did not overstep the circumstances, in my view, in my opinion. But they were not just there for any reason, they were there because of the death of the child. They didn't ask her any really questions. They wanted to get her ID, her information, and then they would follow up later with the actual investigation because Alexee Trevizo, was being transported by a helicopter to a different medical facility that could really help her after the birth of the child. It was a maternal hospital that she was going to that would focus on her needs and aftercare after giving birth. Okay. So let's not pretend that the police were there invading her medical needs, trying to find out her medical information. That's not why they were there. They were there for a legitimate reason, which was there was a death of a newborn baby. The newborn baby was placed in a plastic trash bag. The bag was tied, preventing the baby from being able to breathe, limiting the baby's oxygen. The baby was then placed in the trash can with another trash bag on top of him, concealing his body. Okay. I'm really trying to, go light with this. Let's move on. The district attorney's office filed an appeal with the New Mexico Supreme Court to challenge the suppression of evidence. The state argues that Trevizo was not in custody. They also claim her statements to medical staff and doctors should be admissible. A jury trial for Trevizo was scheduled for August 26, 2024, but it was removed from the docket after the appeal was filed. Physician-patient privilege is a legal protection that keeps a patient's confidential communications with their doctor private, preventing doctors from testifying about a patient's medical information in legal proceedings unless the patient waives the privilege. Now, this is going to go over the conversations that were held. So, for the hospital housekeeper, she says, when I picked up the trash, I thought it was heavy. And so I started looking in there. And at the very bottom, she had it covered with some toilet paper. The charge nurse, she just had it, referring to the baby. She had it in the bathroom, is what happened. The baby is dead. She killed the kid. She put the baby in the trash can, then she put another clean liner over the top of it. Now, this is the discussion between Alexee Trevizo, medical staff, and Alexee's mom via police body cam. Trevizo's mother says, how big is the baby? The charge nurse, full term. The mother, what? 9 months? Alexee, nothing was crying. So she was referring to the baby as nothing. The mother, where did you put the baby at? Tell me the truth. You put it in the bag? Alexee, yeah. Mother, in what bag? Alexee, the trash bag. The mother, why didn't you say anything to us? Alexee, I was scared. I believe she was scared. The doctor, I'm sorry about this. In terms of delivering the baby, it looks like you tried to hide it. We do have to have the police involved. Very, very sad, you guys. I'm going to go to a short video and then we'll wrap this up. Sharing my screen. This video is less than 3 minutes. It's by KOATV. It's titled Alexee Trevizo Case, Oral Arguments on Baby Found Dead in Hospital Trash.
The baby's dead. She killed the kid.
You put it in the bag?
Yes.
In what bag? Why did you say anything to us?
The New Mexico Supreme Court heard oral arguments today in the case of Alexee Trevizo. She is accused of tossing her baby into a hospital trash can back in 2023.
Kathy Bonu explains how her defense argues what she told police on camera should not be allowed in court.
Alexee Trevizo's case, a drawn-out legal battle over what evidence prosecutors can present in trial. The New Mexico Supreme Court weighing in Thursday.
Just for legal reasons.
Well, they're investigating this, and they probably want to, at some point.
Watching her get a pelvic exam, is that investigation?
The state Supreme Court postponing Alexee Trevizo's pre-trial back in August 2024. A jury trial was also set to begin, but removed from the docket that same year.
The baby's dead. She killed the kid.
The then teen mother arrested and charged with first-degree murder after allegations of tossing her newborn into a hospital trash can in 2023.
Baby's a baby.
It's full term.
What? 9 months? Nothing was crying. Did you put the baby out? Tell me the truth. You put it in the bag?
Yes.
In what bag? Why did you say anything to us?
In 2024, the district court ruling in favor of the defense, excluding all statements Trevizo made to her doctor while captured on police body cam footage, citing doctor-patient privilege. Her mother also in the room.
I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, you do have to have the police involved.
However, the ruling was appealed. The state argues the police acted reasonably.
Here, they talked to the doctor, they talked to the nurse.
Why did they feel like it was appropriate for them to go in the room with the doctor to discuss treatment?
Well, I would say that at that point, they clearly had reasonable suspicion, probably more than that, given that the medical staff was, and I'm doing my best to answer your question.
Today, Trevizo's attorneys still standing their ground.
Physicians and medical personnel take on the role of caregiver. Police take on the role of investigator. If we accept the state's position in this case, that line completely disappears. And it's to the detriment of New Mexico patients at their most vulnerable moment.
Faith Ibuanu, KOAT, Action 7 News.
No decision was made today. According to the courts, a decision will be made later.
Okay, so it really like gets me going. And let me know what you think. I would like to hear anyone's opinion, if they have one, on these particular circumstances. Not any case, but this particular set of circumstances. Does Alexee Trevizo feel that she did nothing wrong? That she wasn't negligent? That she wasn't responsible, that she shouldn't be held accountable, that she has no responsibility in the connection to the death of her newborn baby? I would just imagine in my mind, you would have to be really separated from reality to feel that putting a newborn, a human being, in the trash can, coupled with putting the baby's body in a plastic bag and tying the oxygen off from the baby, is normal, is acceptable, is a legal way to handle, even if the baby was not breathing, which they say the baby medically was, but just go here. That's not a proper way to dispose of a human being, a body. To me, it's not acceptable. If you don't want to seek the charge of murder, there should be some level of accountability, whether that be manslaughter or negligent homicide. Maybe not a life a prison sentence, maybe 10 years or 15 years. I just feel that this could literally set a precedent that people will feel that if they do this, or if someone does this, they're not going to be held legally responsible. And that is a dangerous path where we have to look at the values, what is best for society, and we have to protect vulnerable people, even at birth. She doesn't have the right to take the child's life, making that decision, not seeking medical care, even for herself. So I'm trying to be as gentle as I can, but I think that this case really could go the distance. I'm not sure if there's going to be any progress moving forward with the Supreme Court, but that's a process. You can appeal this from the New Mexico Supreme Court to the United States Supreme Court to get that ruling that you need. So all of those statements could be admitted. I think this will have to go the distance. I don't think that the police being in the room with the body cam on is the issue. I don't even think that they really need the statements. I mean, it's clearly an omission on the body cam, but I don't think they need it. But I do feel you have to set a legal precedence that this is not going to be acceptable. That if a person chooses to do something like this or something similar to this, they should have the ability to say that they have legal protections because they were in front of a doctor or a nurse or hospital staff. At some point, we have to just start using more basic common sense. And you should have rights, but it doesn't go beyond the needs of the public in protecting vulnerable people. And you really have to look at this as an individual case and not a precedent for every single case, because these are very unique circumstances. And I'm not sure if there is evidence that Alexee knew she was pregnant. I've heard all kind of um, information that she knew she was pregnant. She talked to her friends about being pregnant. She picked names for the unborn child and all of that. I don't know if that's true, but those are things that have been out in the news since the beginning. So I'm not sure if they need so much her words on video of admitting to what she did. Um, it's her right not to take the stand. But I think the video will be useful in demonstrating that not someone else, but she placed the baby's body into the trash bag. She placed the baby's body into the trash can. She placed a liner over the baby. She did not seek any medical care for the baby. I think that's what the video proves, but I don't think they necessarily need it. I think there's enough information around about it without using it that they could prove the case, especially for negligent homicide or manslaughter, something of a lesser charge other than first-degree murder. I'm not sure if they presented a plea to Alexee Trevizo. Um, I don't know if they want to go that route, but I believe that this case may have to go the distance and go to the United States Supreme Court to get that decision to protect the the actions of law enforcement and how they handle um, entering into the hospital, going into the room. Was it reasonable? Was their actions reasonable? I think so. So let me know what you think. Thanks for checking out this video. Thanks for spending time with me. I want you to stay safe, stay smart, stay savvy. Be well, all my friends. Bye, everybody.